Good day, YouTube. Today's topic is it's been 6 months since my wife and I paid off our home, and I want to share with you what it's been like. The reason I made this video is to share with you how we started 21 years ago. We started off with 6 pieces of luggage, my wife, my son, and myself. And that's all we had was 6 pieces of luggage. So I'm not making this video to show off. If anything, I'd rather say I'd like to inspire someone to share how our story began and what we did in those 21 years up to now. So it's been 6 months since we paid off our home. And a lot of people would ask, how has your life changed? Are you excited? It took me about 2 months for me to personally answer that question because it didn't feel any different. The house was paid, but the actual action of doing that hadn't sunk in. It took about 2 months. And then the other thing I'm going to talk about is how has our life changed in the last 6 months. A lot has changed, and I'll share that with you. I'll share with you how that's changed. Well, it took a while, like I said, for us to get used to, for me to get used to not having any mortgage. What I had to do was replenish my savings account, where I took all of that $14,000, right around $14,000, to pay off that home 6 months ago. So I started to replenish that savings account, to build that savings account back up. One of the things that I did within the last year is I stopped investing in my Roth TSP. So I was investing 6% at one point, and I stopped it. And the reason I did that was so I can focus on the house. Well, it's been 6 months. The house has been paid off, as you know, and my wife and I are contributing 10% to our Roth TSP as we speak, every paycheck. Another thing is, besides increasing our savings account, our emergency fund has to be healthy, which it is. We've taken some vacations. My wife and I went to Costa Rica in November, which was 5 months ago. Just her and I, and we had a great time, a week in Costa Rica, our first time there. We've done a lot of projects with our home. We got a new floor throughout the main level. We got a screen door. We've done some painting, things like that. Projects around the house. We're going to get sprinklers as soon as winter ends. We're in April right now, and it's snowing outside. So we're going to get some sprinklers. The other thing is, my wife and I had a conversation about, is this the house, not this house, but our home, where we want to stay the rest of our lives? Most likely the answer is no. So we had a conversation. When do we want to move? Is it now, or is it in the future and just enjoy not having a mortgage? The answer is, we're going to hold off on buying another house and selling the house that we currently live in. We're going to enjoy not having a mortgage for a while, and instead of doing some traveling. Another thing that we've done, and it's been a great thing, and I'm going to be very brief with this, is we've been giving more. Dave Ramsey talks about live like no one else, so later on you can live and give like no one else. And I'll be very brief with this. We've been doing that, and it's a lot better to give than it is to receive. At least that's how I feel. Next thing is, I've been notified 2.5 months ago that my AGR tour, my current active duty tour for the Air Force Reserve, will end as scheduled on 31 May 2018. And instead of saying I will go back to civil service like I was going to say and then pursue a reserve job somewhere else, yesterday I made up my mind, and I just made a video yesterday about I will be retiring in 2018 from the military side. Very excited about that. 22 years active duty and reserve, 14 years active, or just shy of 14 years, and focus on my civilian career. Within the last 6 months, 2 months ago, my mother passed away. I had to spend 2 weeks in Los Angeles taking care of her memorial service, that she did a lot of the work. That really affected me, where my anxiety level went up. I'm in charge of her estate, so that took a lot of work. And now I'm back to work, and I'm finalizing her property. And, since her death, we did receive her insurance policy money, and that was a gift that my mom left us, and now I'm finalizing the home. But the purpose of this video, how our life has changed in the last 6 months since we paid off our home, is it's changed in many ways. But one of the things that I wanted to say at the beginning was that my wife and I paid off our home at the age of 44 years old. And when we started our lives together, it was paycheck to paycheck, broke, embarrassed. Well, we paid off our home, and the happiest thing I can think about is that we did it all on our own. We didn't receive any money like the insurance policy. We had already paid off our home 6 months ago when this insurance policy came into our lives about 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago. So, it's made me think a lot. Life is short. Yes, we have these plans and those plans, but you have to live life. Talking about traveling, we just booked our vacation, my wife and I, for St. Martin in June. My wife and daughter are going on a missions trip with our church in July to Honduras for a week. I am going to stay home because I don't have that much leave. I used it in February when I went to Los Angeles. What else? Property taxes. I've heard people talk about when you don't have a mortgage, you don't get your tax break on the interest that you pay. And that's true. I was very curious as to how that was going to work, a little bit concerned. I know now the answer. I will say that I've always said this, and I'm going to stick to this, which is I would rather not have a mortgage and bypass getting that tax write-off because of the interest that you pay. So we did our income taxes, and I was concerned as to how that was going to work out. We actually will get a refund of $200. And that is because our daughter is in school, and a lot of the expenses, tuition, books, dorm, we used during our income taxes to file our income taxes, and we got credit for that. So that's a good thing. Our property taxes, basically this is what we pay per year now, is $1,016.38. Basically, that's my mortgage for a year. $1,016.38. That's a big blessing. So I'm very excited about that. We do have the money for our daughter's last year and a half of college, because right now she is using my post 9/11 GI Bill, and that's a huge benefit. I've made videos about that as well. So the last year and a half we are going to have to pay. As I wrap this up, life is still the same for us. My wife and I had a conversation just a few days ago, and we agreed that we really haven't changed that much overall. We still have a plan, a budget. We discuss it as needed. We do what we want to, which is nice because we don't have a mortgage. But here's the challenge. I'm in a situation just like everybody else. If you have money left over and there's no plan for it, and this applies to me as well, what do you think will happen with that money? The answer is the money will go. We as humans will spend that money if there is no plan. So there has to be a plan. Be deliberate with your income. And when I say be deliberate with your income, I'm speaking primarily to myself and my wife in the sense that that hasn't changed. We have to be deliberate. What do we want to do? When are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? How are we going to get that money to make it happen? The key is this. It always has been, is balance. Once we have balance with our finances, we can really live a good life. I like to say, work hard, play hard. I am still juggling our finances. I've always done that, and I like to do that, whether it's having a few accounts and what's next, how are we going to make that happen? So that hasn't changed. My mentality hasn't changed when it comes to finances. That's how our lives have changed in the last 6 months. It's really a good thing. Our lives have changed a lot. I know I'm going back to civil service, and I'm excited about that. I know I'm going to retire, and I know that life can change in an instant. Because of that, I would always say to myself and you, live life to your fullest. Sometimes it's not easy, and that includes myself. I saw a doctor for the first time about my anxiety 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, and I also teach resiliency. I'm looking forward to doing that, leading by example, in the sense that if I'm going to teach someone to be resilient, to bounce back from a struggle, I have to be able to be doing the exact same thing as well. That's what I wanted to share with you. Hope you've enjoyed it. Do the best that you can. Take care.